Hi, authors. My name is Jennifer Carr, and I'm here to help you write more realistically through psychology. As a marriage and family counselor, an author, and a former high school AP psychology teacher, I have a little insider information that can help you write better stories and more relatable characters. As a marriage and family counselor, I have heard a lot of stories centered around interpersonal relationships. I've heard the good, I've heard the bad, and I have heard the ugly. And you want to know what the key component is to every single story I've ever heard? People. And not just any people, but unique individuals who have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, they have their flaws, and they have their virtues. When you approach writing characters who are in relationships, you need to take into account that you are creating unique individuals who approach life and other people in their own way. Have you ever read a book or a piece of literature in which the characters are one dimensional and the result is a flat and boring relationship? I think we probably all have read one or maybe even written something along those lines, and it's typically the result of a failure to invest in each character's individual development. And it results in characters who are clones of one another. A relationship between two clones is going to be uneventful and underdeveloped. And I'm referring to any interpersonal relationship, not just that of the romantic variety. So let's talk about writing realistic characters and relationships. Interpersonal relationships refer to the connections that individuals have with one another, including family, friends, romantic partners, and colleagues. Healthy relationships are characterized by mutual trust, respect, open communication, and a willingness to compromise. Whereas unhealthy relationships, they are characterized by a lack of trust, disrespect, poor communication, and an unwillingness to compromise. I'm going to walk through some of the characteristics of healthy and unhealthy relationships. And then we're going to talk a little bit about actually writing about these relationships. Here are some key indicators you find in healthy relationships. Mutual respect. So, in a healthy relationship, both individuals treat each other with respect. They value each other's opinions and they avoid belittling or criticizing one another. Trust and honesty. Both individuals feel comfortable being open and honest with each other, and they trust that the other person is not out to betray their confidence. Open communication. Healthy relationships are built on open communication, with both individuals actively listening and validating each other's feelings and needs. Compromise and cooperation. Healthy relationships involve a willingness to compromise and work together to find solutions that benefit both parties. And finally, support. In a healthy relationship, both individuals provide emotional support and encouragement to each other, and they celebrate each other's successes. Here are some key indicators you find in unhealthy relationships. There's a lack of respect. So, in unhealthy relationships, one or both individuals may engage in disrespectful behaviors, such as name calling, belittling, mocking, talking about them behind their back. Dishonesty. Unhealthy relationships may be characterized by a lack of trust and honesty, with one or both individuals withholding information or lying. Poor communication. So, unhealthy relationships often involve poor communication. It's the number one killer of most relationships. And this is when both individuals, or maybe just one, they interrupt or talk over the other. They refuse to listen to the other person's perspective. Control and manipulation. In an unhealthy relationship, one individual may try to control or manipulate the other through threats, intimidation, or guilt. And then there's a lack of support. So, unhealthy relationships may lack emotional support, with one individual or both not offering encouragement or validation to the other. It is important to note that not all relationships fit neatly into one of these categories, healthy or unhealthy. Relationships are complex and they may involve a mixture of healthy and unhealthy behaviors. However, by being aware of the signs of healthy and unhealthy relationships, individuals can take steps to build stronger, more positive connections with the people in their lives. This is the same that holds true for your characters. So, how do you write these realistic relationships? Well, first of all, you have to develop well rounded characters. You have to create characters with unique personalities, backgrounds, motivations. You have to consider their flaws and their vulnerabilities as well as their strengths. And then you need to show, don't tell. So rather than simply telling a reader that these two characters are in love or these two characters have a strong connection, show their interactions, how they communicate, and the little things they do for each other. If you can help it, avoid cliches, avoid relying on cliched romantic tropes or stereotypes, and instead focus on developing unique and authentic relationships between your characters. Explore conflicts and obstacles. Relationships in real life are not always easy, so consider introducing conflicts and obstacles that the characters must overcome to make the relationship work, but keep them in the realm of realistic. Also, too many conflicts and or obstacles can exhaust your reader quickly. Then you need to be consistent. Ensure that the characters' actions and behaviors are consistent with their personalities and their experiences throughout your writing. Consider the context. The setting and cultural context of the relationship can also influence its dynamics. So be mindful of these factors when writing. So remember, realistic relationships are complex and multidimensional, and they require careful attention to detail in your character's development. To write realistic relationships, it's important to focus on the dynamics between characters, their individual traits and experiences, and how they interact with one another. If you're looking for a resource to help you develop your characters as individuals, as well as create an interpersonal relationship profile for them, check out the Resources for Authors tab in the link you can find in my profile. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today, leave them in the comments below. And if you want to stay in the know when it comes to using psychology to write better and more relatable characters, click the follow button.